जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवराधरी जय गिरिवराधरी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवराधरी जय गिरिवराधरी। यशोदनंदना जय भज जनरंजना जय व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदनंदना जय व्रज जनरंजना यशोदनंदना जय व्रज जनरंजना जय व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदनंदना वनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी। यमुनातीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवराधरी गिरिवराधरी। गोपी जन वल्लभ Yashodanandana Jayo Raja Janaranjana Jayo Raja Janaranjana Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paramajakarya Ashtatara Sudashi Srimad Vaicharya Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jai Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiyayat. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, second chapter, the prayers by the demigods. Text is 13. We read it after Mangalarati. So here is the word for word first. Garbha Sankarshanat. Because he will be taken from the womb of Devaki, because he will be taken from the womb of Devaki to that of Rohini. Tam, him, Rohini Nandana, the son of Rohini. Vai, indeed. Prahu, people will call Sankarshanam, by the name Sankarshanam. Bhuvi, in the world. Rama iti. He will also be called Rama. Loka Ramanath. Because of his special mercy. In enabling people in general to become devotees. You noticed? Loka Ramanath means he has a special mercy to enable people to become devotees. The translation of the verse will be different, you'll see, but just make a note here how Prabhupada translates Ramanath. Usually means the one who gives pleasure to Loka, to the people in the world. Of Prabhupada, no, it's a special mercy that enables people to become devotees and then be happy. Balabhadram, he will also be called Balabhadra. Bala Ucharyat, because of extensive bodily strength. So let's change it. Garbha Sankarshanatam Vai Prahur Sankarshanam Bhuvi Rameti Loka Ramanat Balabhadram Balochrayat Garbha Sankarsanatam Vai Prahur Sankarshanam Bhuvi Rameti Loka Ramanat Balabhadram Balochrayat
Garbha Sankarsanatam Vai Rahu Sankarsanam Bhuvi Rameti Loka Ramanat Balabhadram Balochrayat
Garbha Sankarsanatam Vai Rahu Sankarshanam Bhuvi Rameti Loka Ramanat Balabhadram Balochrayat
Garbha Sankarsanatam Vai Rahu Sankarshanam Bhuvi Rameti Loka Ramanat Balabhadram Balochrayat
Ladies.
Garbha Sankarsanatam Vai Prabhu Sankarshanam Bhuvi Rameti Loka Ramanat Balabhadram Balochrayat
Garbha Sankarsanatam Vai Rahu Sankarshanam Bhuvi Rameti Loka Ramanat
Rameti Loka Ramanat
Balabhadram
Balabhadram
Balochrayat
Balochrayat. Translation. Oh, please go ahead.
Garbha Sankarsanatam Vai
Garbha Sankarsanatam Vai
Sankarshanam Bhuvi Rameti Loka Ramanat
Rameti Loka Ramanat Balabhadram Balochrayat. The son of Rohini will also, let me first read the whole. The son of Rohini will also be celebrated as Sankarshana because of being sent from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. He will be called Rama because of his ability to please all the inhabitants of Gokula. And he will be known as Balabhadra because of his extensive physical strength. Okay, let's read it together. The son of Rohini will also be celebrated as Sankarshan because of being sent from the womb of Devaki through the womb of Rohini. He will be called Rama because of his ability to please all the inhabitants of Gokul. And he will be known as Balabhadra because of his extensive physical strength. Purport. These are some of the reasons why Balaram is known as Sankarshan. Balaram, or sometimes Rama. In the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. People sometimes object when Rama is accepted as Balarama. But although devotees of Lord Rama may object, they should know that there is no difference between Balarama and Lord Rama. Here Srimad Bhagavatam clearly states that Balarama is also known as Rama, Rameti. Therefore, it is not artificial for us to speak of Lord Balarama as Lord Rama. Jayadev Goswami also speaks of three Ramas, Parashurama, Raghupati Rama and Balarama. All of them are Ramas. Garva Sankarshanat Tambai Prahu Sankarshanat Bhumi Rameti Loka Ramanat Balabhadram Balochrayat. The son of Rohini will also be celebrated as Sankarshan because of being sent from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. He will be called Rama because of his ability to please all the inhabitants of Gokula, and he will be known as Balabhadra because of his extensive physical strength. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyalari Paschati Deshatarani Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Mankayate Grinyat Kripatam Hamam De Shri Gurundinatarinam. So this is the second chapter of 10th canto, and 10th canto began with continuous question from Parikshit Maharaj, because at the end of the 9th canto, as we know, Shukadeva Goswami was describing the dynasties. He described the solar dynasty, then he began describing the moon dynasty, Soma. And at the end of the 9th canto, he just mentioned about the appearance of Krishna in a few verses, very succinctly saying that Krishna will appear and will perform wonderful pastimes. And in the beginning of the 10th canto, Parikshit Maharaj is very inquisitive to hear more about the appearance of Krishna. So now in this chapter is the beginning of the detailed descriptions how the Lord appeared, and it begins by prayers of the demigods. But right in the beginning, it's interesting that Lord Krishna, before he appeared, as we know the context now, who is speaking here? This verse is speaking about Sankarshan Balarama, but who is speaking? No. Who? Gargamuni, no. Okay, more guesses. Any? Just guess. Okay. Let me. And to whom? Okay, we don't know yet who is speaking, but to whom you also don't know. Okay. So. What happened before Krishna appeared in the womb of his mother Devaki? So, some other children were born, right? He was the number of which songs? It was the 8th song. So already, how many appeared before that? 7. So what happened with the first 6? Comes and kill them. How? He smashed them on the stone, yeah, very cruel. What happened with the 7th? Okay. So, but in the palace, what they understood, they thought that there was a miscarriage. So before that happened, actually, Krishna spoke to Yoga Maya Devi, and then he says, let's read them in. Text number all right. The Supreme Soul of everyone ordered Yoga Maya as follows. That's number 6. The Lord said, O my potency, who will worshipable for the entire world, and whose nature is to bestow good fortune, he calls her Shubhe, to the entire world. Go to Vraja, where there live many coward men and their wives. In that very beautiful land, where many cows reside, Rohini, the wife of Vasudeva, is living at the home of Nanda Maharaj. Other wives of Vasudeva are also living there incognito, because of fear of Kamsa. Please go there Within the womb of Devaki is my partial plenary expansion known as Sankarshan or Shesha. Without difficulty, transfer him into the womb of Rohini. So this is the seventh child. O auspicious, he is calling her Bhadre, Shubhe, yes. I shall then appear with my 6 full opulences as the son of Devaki, and you will appear where? Yes, as a daughter of Yashoda. As a daughter of Mother Yashoda, the queen of Maharaj Nanda. So she is being celebrated as the daughter of Yashoda and sister of Krishna. And then he says, to encourage her, the Acharyas explain that by sacrifices of animals, ordinary human beings will worship you gorgeously with various paraphernalia because you are supreme in fulfilling the material desires of everyone. Lord Krishna blessed Maya Devi by saying, in different places on the surface of the earth, people will give you different names such as Durga, Bhadrakali, Vijaya, Vaishnavi, Kumoda, Chandika, Krishna, Madhavi, Kanyaka, Maya, Narayani, Ishani, Sharada, and Ambika. This was the verse before. And then in this verse now he says, the son of Rohini will be celebrated as Sankarshan because you will transfer, you will take him from the womb of Devaki and put him in the womb of Rohini. Because Sankarshan means to extract and together, because Akarshani means to pull, and also it means to contract. So here the meaning is because he will be extracted from the womb and put in another womb, your name will be Sankarshan. And one of the Acharyas explained, it's this reason because you will be called Sankarshan, because you will be taken and put in the womb of Devaki, not because you are contracting everything with you as Shesha at the end of the universe, which is another meaning. And then what does Maya Devi answers? She said, no, I will not do it. She says, Tataiti omiti. She says, Prabhupada translates it in one lecture. Oh yeah, here in the purport, actually, in his purport. Yes, sir, I shall do as you order. And then said Om and circumambulated Krishna and went to Vraja. So, yeah, this is how the appearance of Krishna is prepared, because as we know, the expansion of Baladev, Shesha, is his seat, his bed, and his paraphernalia, and his Dhamma. Actually, the words here is that he is the abode. So before Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki, because she had before these 6 children who were, anyone remembers who were the 6 children in their previous life? Who?
The Vasus.
The Vasus? No.
You mean those who took birth as her children?
No, the 6 children of Devaki who were killed by Kamsa were the children of Kamsa's previous appearance as a demon named Kalanemi. Kalanemi was the son of Hiranyakashipu. And so Hiranyakashipu actually cursed these sons of Kalanemi for their mistake to be killed by their father in their next birth. So Kalanemi became Kamsa and they were born as sons of Devaki. And who were they before they were born as sons of Kalanemi, grandsons of Hiranyakashipu? Why they became demons? Maybe you don't remember, but this is an important story because it's also retold by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself in Chaitanya Bhagavat as an illustration of the grave consequences when somebody offends a devotee, a great person, even without saying anything, just by your attitude. So they were the grandsons of Brahma. Brahma had one of his sons was Marichi, born of his mind. So Marichi had 6 sons. And Brahma had one small mistake. You remember what he did once? Yeah, he was attracted by his daughter. So, of course, that was just a very temporary, and he realized his mistake. He cast off his body, in other words, his wrong mentality immediately, because he is a great devotee. And just to show the power of illusory energy of the Lord, he demonstrated this. But these boys, while observing this whole incident, they started giggling and laughing at Brahma. And just because of that, they had to be born as sons of Hiranyakashipu. So the point is that they were at their present birth as demons. So the Acharya's question, I think it was Jiva Goswami who was raising the question, you may ask, how can Krishna appear in the womb of Devaki where previously demons appeared? So, or actually it's Vishwanath Chakravarti, yeah. He makes an interesting analysis that how come Krishna can appear in a place where demons lived? And he was saying, can the womb of Devaki be contaminated? So he said, no, of course not. But still, Baladeva appears before to prepare the abode of Krishna. So the same thing happens also in our practice of bhakti. That we become first purified, our hearts are purified, and then Krishna appears. And the process is similar. So, but he says that we start the sadhana bhakti, the practice of bhakti, while still having material desires, still be attracted to the 6 objects of the senses. So this is another parallel which he makes, that the 6 sons are the objects which are attracting us in this world. And or Prabhupada makes another comparison that these are the 6 enemies: lust, anger, greed, pride, etc., envy. So they have to go before Krishna comes, appears face to face. But the point of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is very interesting, because we may wonder, well, I still have these in my heart. I still actually have propensity to enjoy, and I still enjoy my senses. How is it that I can practice bhakti? How will bhakti appear in my heart? So that's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains. It can happen parallel, it's not problem. We still have material desires, we still enjoy our senses, and still we practice bhakti. And there is no problem, because bhakti is not touched. It cannot be touched. She is not touched by anything material, just like the womb of Devaki could not be touched by these bodies of the demons. So that's why he says bhakti is absolutely transcendental, never be touched by anything. So bhakti can be practiced even in a contaminated state. So this is an encouragement for us. But the process is that we have to purify the heart, and for that first Balarama has to appear. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada explains, when he talks about the appearance of Baladev in a number of places, he always quotes one verse from the Upanishads, Mundaka Upanishad. Anyone remembers what's that? What's the connection, at least, if not the Sanskrit? How Prabhupada connects the appearance of Baladev? It's something very crucial. Or that without the mercy of Balarama, it's impossible to advance. So the verse, I'm sure many of you heard it, the Upanishad describes that you cannot attain the Supreme by different means. And at the end, basically it concludes that the only way is that the Supreme has to choose you and appear. But the point of that first line of one of the verses is Nayam Atma Bala Hinena Labhya. You cannot attain Atma, the Supreme Soul, without Bala. And Prabhupada, many times actually, over I think 20 times, he quotes that, saying you need the mercy of Balaram. Without having the mercy of Balaram, you cannot attain Krishna. You need blessing. Actually, I have some quotes here. Let's read what Prabhupada says directly. In the Upanishads, it is stated, Nayamatma balahinena labhya. The purport is that one cannot attain the supreme or any form of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. Bala does not mean physical strength. And this also Prabhupada many times emphasized, because apparently some Indian guru was saying that you need to be physically stout. You have to become very strong physically to become self-realized. Prabhupada said, this is nonsense. No one can attain spiritual perfection by physical strength. One must have the spiritual strength which is infused by Balaram or Sankarshan. And in another place, Balaram or Sankarshan is spiritual power, or the original spiritual master. Therefore, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is also an incarnation of Balaram, is the original spiritual master. And the spiritual master is the representative of Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who supplies spiritual strength. Significant in this verse, this is from another lecture on Bhagavatam 7 Canto verse. Significant is Jnanasim Achyuta Bala. Jnanasim means the sword of knowledge. Is given by Krishna. And when one serves the Guru and Krishna in order to hold the sword of Krishna's instruction, Balaram gives the strength. So this is another nice comparison, because actually Prabhupada says something very important at the end of 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And he speaks about that our greatest problem in advancement of spiritual life is weakness of the heart. Do you remember that purport? It's here it is. It's just one short paragraph. While one is performing devotional service in the association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanished altogether. The first fall down, so before that, the most important thing one has to surmount or overcome is weakness of the heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. So what does it mean, this weakness of the heart? Two things Prabhupada says. One is to desire to be the boss, to lord, to controller, and thus one gives up transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. And the second weakness of the heart is that as one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature, he becomes attached to matter and the possession of matter. The problems of material existence are due to these weaknesses of the heart. The desire to be controller and enjoyer, and which leads to attachment and entanglement. And Prabhupada says in the last sentence, so in the first 5 verses of this 15th chapter, Krishna explains how this weakness of the heart should be overcome. So when you go and look where it is exactly what Krishna says, how to do it, how to do it. Do you remember what Krishna speaks about in the beginning of 15th chapter? About the banyan tree of the material existence, that actually it entangles us, and what we have to do, it's very deep, the roots of this tree, by our material desires and the karmas. We are very much entangled. So what we have to do? He speaks of something, yes, we have to cut it, we have to chop it. By the sword, some say sword of the transcendental, some say an axe, but it's something sharp. With a sword of transcendental knowledge. So that's what Prabhupada refers here in this lecture. So you need 2 things. You need the knowledge with which you have to cut this weakness, but you also need the strength to hold the knowledge, to hold the sword. So that strength is supplied by Balaram. And Balaram is that manifestation of Krishna, which is especially concerned about the welfare of the living entities, and especially merciful. That's why he comes in this world. He creates. He is actually, from him comes, Krishna's multifarious Shaktis. As we know, they're categorized in different ways, but the one categorization given in Vishnu Purana lists Jnana Bala Kriya, so the knowledge and the Kriya Shakti means the creative energy. So creative energy, the Kriya Shakti, is actually coming from Balaram, and that's why he's considered the source of the spiritual and material worlds. It's coming from him. So therefore it says that Balaram and Krishna, they are identical. Because Krishna or the Supreme is just one person, right? It's not many. It's Advaitam. It's one, not many. Advaitam, not dual. Advaitam Achyutam, and he's non-fallible, he's perfect, he's supreme. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim, and he is without beginning, unlimited. And Anantarupam, he has unlimited forms. He's one, Advaitam, but he has unlimited forms. Sounds like paradoxical. And indeed it is. That's why it's called that. This is Achintya, in a sense that it's difficult to conceive how one person can be many at the same time, but not just duplicates. The same person multiplied at the same time. He's the same person, but in different forms, and also different features and different moods. So Balaram, it's usually said he's the same as Krishna, but only differences in the color. But there is also one very great difference. Anyone can say in the mood. What is the mood difference? Yes, well, he's the servant supreme, the servant Bhagavan, the Sevaka Bhagavan. Krishna is the Ashra, he just accepts the service, but all his other expansions, Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva and Shakti Tattva, all the other expansions, they are in the mood of service. They are his servants. So, but Balaram is the first one, and from him everyone else comes, all the other Vishnu Tattva incarnations. So he has this extreme power, but also this extreme mood of compassion for the living entities. And therefore, his part of his service to the Supreme Lord is to bring them back. And therefore Prabhupada says, that's why he is called Loka Ramanat. His special mercy in enabling people in general to become devotees. I really like that expression. It sounds very kind of contemporary, to enabling. So Balaram is enabling us to become devotees by his great mercy. So he provides the strength which is needed, because we are very weak because of our entanglement. And this weakness is actually, Prabhupada explains that when I read the weakness of the heart is the greatest problem. Even if we have the knowledge, even if we understand it, we cannot hold it, we cannot use it in the practice, we cannot cut with it because of the weakness. So we need that power. And in other places, or in the Shastras, this need of power is emphasized, it's explained, and I will just give one example of that from Brahma Purana. The persons equipped with strength are firm and steadfast. On the other hand, those without the strength of yoga perish, just as birds devoid of strength fall into the net. So here again, the comparison is the net of our karmas, of our attachments. So we are really entangled, and the weakness is making it impossible to come. So the verses continue. So those who are sinless, they do not get involved in bondage. Such are the powers of yoga. Just as on getting entangled in a fine net, weaker birds fall into misfortune, while stronger ones free themselves. So those who are possessed of strength, spiritual strength, are liberated while the feeble ones perish. Therefore, it's universal in all the yoga systems. Actually, there is one recommendation as something which is the first and most important part of quick advancement in yoga. And this verse we find in, for example, one of the most important manuals in Ashtanga Yoga from the Middle Ages called Hatha Pradipika, and literally the same verse, or almost the same, appears in one of our Acharya's very essential book called Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami's essential advice. So can one remember? What is the verse saying? What is most favorable for bhakti? So yes, the first item, so he lists 6 things, and then the first is called Utsaha. And Prabhupada usually translates that as enthusiasm. But literal meaning of that is strength, power, will of power, energy. So all these a meaning of the word utsaha. Power, strength, will, exertion also, fortitude. So this is the first and most important quality. Prabhupada actually in one place he says, without enthusiasm or energy, no one can advance in Krishna consciousness. So again, this we need a special kind of mercy, because this energy, this enthusiasm is coming. It's as its source, and this source is Balarama. That's what Prabhupada means, that we need a special blessing of Baladev to have that energy, that enthusiasm, that spiritual strength. And how do we ask Baladev, or how do we approach, how do we get that special mercy? Any suggestions? Yes, the spiritual master, yes, Prabhupada explained that this is spiritual strength. Did I read that? No. Bala means spiritual strength, not material. Naimatma bala hinena labhya. That means one must be spiritually strong. And that spiritually strong means to have good faith in Krishna and Guru. So this vishvasa, this firm conviction, that's the strength we're talking about. So that's spiritual strength. Therefore, Baladev means Guru, spiritual strength. So that firm conviction to accept Guru and follow the instructions of Guru and to get the mercy or the power of Balaram is also explained that there are certain steps that they are in our hands actually. Now we need that strength, but it's up to us to go to the source and take it. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that the demons killed in Vraja and Gokul, they represent different types of anarthas. And interestingly enough, the ones killed by Baladev are the anarthas with which devotees have to specifically deal themselves. It's very interesting, isn't it? So, for example, Pralambasura, representing the strong desire to enjoy, lust, he says that devotees should firmly decide that I will overcome this and take shelter at Baladev. And by praying this, Krishna will give his mercy. By giving this special, by seeing that special mood of surrender and determination, both are there. The devotee is very determined, at the same time doesn't really relies on his personal strength or her personal strength, but depends on Krishna. Therefore, the devotees, they are dependent and they ask for this protection and shelter. They go to Krishna Balaram, especially when they need help and protection. And Prabhupada, it's a famous conversation in a morning walk, just after the installation of Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan. I forgot the context why, but devotees were talking about some personal problems, and Prabhupada says, but now we have Krishna Balaram and Gaur Nitai. They're here. We installed them, so they're here. And we have, actually, the context was also not just personal problems, but also problems in the society, in a devotee society. So he says, now there should be no problems, because we have Krishna Balaram. We go and we have to say, you remember, this is a very famous expression Prabhupada says. Huh? Yeah, my dear sirs. We go to Gaur Nitai and Krishna Balaram. My dear sirs, here is the problem. Here is the problem. Please take care of it. So this is one, of course, aspect or a point of view, and the other, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the initiative is ours. We have to approach. We have to go and say, please, beg for this mercy. But it's up to us. We have to endeavor. Therefore, this, when Prabhupada says, it's fate. You have to actually follow. I can help you. It was recently quoted. Prabhupada said, I can kick all the impediments and anarthas. I can kick them away easily, provided you follow my advice. So again, this is, we have to be serious and show Krishna, I want to follow, I want to apply this, but I need strength, I need your mercy, and please be kind, give me that power. I cannot do it on my own, and therefore we pray to Balaram, to Krishna Balaram, to Gaur Nitai, and we pray to the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also very nicely exemplified that in his songs to the Guru and to Vaishnavas. Please give me the strength. Please give me the strength to deal with the 6 enemies, with the 6 imperfections. Give me the 6 qualities, Chaya Veka Domi, Chaya Dosha Shodi, Chaya Guna Deho Das. So this is the mood of a devotee, very humble, very dependent, and at the same time very firm in determination, with great faith and conviction that this is the only choice I have to do. But also to make this choice, and with this I'll conclude, we need to be how this actually works, how that association which gives the firm conviction comes. And Prabhupada says it's about attraction and our attention. Once we are attracted, the decision, the willpower becomes very easy. It's the more we are attracted, the more easily we make the right decision and we choose the right thing. We choose Krishna instead of the shadow, instead of the illusory energy. So Prabhupada explains, and this is in the Bhagavad Gita, in the introduction. It's actually Prabhupada, it's in such a concise way he explains the essence of Bhagavad Gita, which is to remember Krishna always, right? And he quotes, of course, Krishna saying, now Arjuna, please do your duty and remember me always. And Prabhupada says this is the essential instruction of the Gita. If we just follow that throughout our life, we will be perfect, we go back. And so he says, so how we can remember Krishna all the time? This is the most important thing. How do we do it? Do you remember in this part of the introduction what Prabhupada explains? How do we actually train our mind to remember Krishna? Okay, chanting Hare Krishna. Well, this also he says in the introduction. He says, the advice of Lord Chaitanya to always chant and Krishna's advice to always remember is the same. But specifically in the context when he says, he quotes the verse, you remember me always while you perform your duties. He says that we have to train our mind by hearing about Krishna. And he says, that hearing, we have to become attracted. And for that, the Lord provided so many literatures. And he says that, let's see, yes, in life we are accustomed to thinking either of material or spiritual energy. So how do we transfer that thinking? Now, how can we transfer our thoughts from the material energy to the spiritual energy? Now, without some practical advice, it will be very difficult, it's just the mind is so turbulent and mad. And Prabhupada explains there are so many literatures which attract, or sounds basically, that attract us. And he says there are newspapers, so many material sounds, they attract us. But we have also the alternative. We have all kinds of spiritual literature and sounds. And he says we must always engage our minds in reading these Vedic literatures. Just as materialists engage their minds in reading newspapers, magazines, and so many materialist literatures, we can add more in the contemporary examples, which include the social media, all kinds of things which are full of examples. And Prabhupada says, well, let's finish that, and I'll give another quote which I found very funny, how Prabhupada explained. So we are attracted to this. We want to hear stories, we want to hear the news. So just as materialists engage their minds in reading this, we must transfer our reading to these literatures which are given to us by Vyasadeva. In that way, it will be possible for us to remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death. That is the only way suggested by the Lord. And He guarantees the result. There is no doubt. So Prabhupada says, it's just by this hearing, gradually we become attracted. And this, he says, this is attraction we cannot stop. We will be either attracted to hear about Krishna and pastimes of Krishna, or, he says, the pastime of President Johnson. So I guess at that time there was some scandal about President Johnson. So people were talking about it, Prabhupada says. So everybody now is hearing about President Johnson, President Trump, or something we are attracted. So either we're attracted to Krishna Lila, or to President Lila, or someone else Lila, or to the dog's Lila. And he went on in that same lecture, he said, and just see, it's all about attention. A materialist puts his full attention, and the devotees should also do that. Put their full attention in Krishna, and be fascinated of his personality and activities and qualities. And he said, just look at a materialist who is walking his dog. The dog stops to pass urine, and just look how attentive is the materialist to the dog Lila. He's very attentive. So he gives this example just to say that we have to also be very attentive to Krishna Lila, or to other types of Lila. And the more we become, and when we are absorbed, then we are fascinated by Krishna's amazing personality, and we become more and more attracted, and then we get the mercy of Balarama, we get that spiritual strength. So this is actually the only thing required from us, to make the right choice. Small choices, little choices, everyday choices, every hour choices that we plug in to the right source, where the spiritual energy comes, the spiritual strength from Balarama, not the material energy. And then we'll get gradually a relief, and we'll be attracted, and we'll feel free, and we'll be become ecstatic in that special mercy of the Lord, and then we'll be actually forwarded, just like his appearance, Baladev, his appearance as Nityananda, especially in the Kali Yuga, to those souls who are completely fallen and undeserving, and he showed that he was specifically attracted to those who are most degraded. And as we know with the stories with Jagai and Madai, and who are great rogues, and other camp, also from Navadvip, but the name of that is not mentioned. It's in Chaitanya Bhagavata described in detail. A very, very cruel, also originally from a Brahmana family, but just by association he became so degraded. So he was like the leader of a gang, and he was so merciless. You know, he didn't feel anything when they were killing and robbing and everything. But when he saw Nityananda, and he was like, oh, now our problems are solved, because Nityananda at one point decided, I think I should dress myself nicely and put some jewels. And the moment he thought, you know, a whole community of Vaniks, of gold merchants, they gave him, nobody have seen such jewels and precious stones, and his all hands had rings, you know, precious stones, and many pearl and other jewel necklaces, and multicolored silk-colored turban, and two rudrakshas, just to show his special mercy to Shiva, because she was worshipping all the time Balarama, Sankarshan, as there are many prayers in the Bhagavatam. Anyway, so Balaram, as Nityananda Prabhu was just attracting unlimited people in his kirtan, and whoever saw, they were completely immersed immediately in prema. So this rogue thought, okay, he told his, you know, fellow brothers, do you know, if we just make this hit, that's it, you know, just like sometimes, you know, you have this bank robbery, they said, we just make this last hit and then we don't need to steal anymore. They even started, for me, I'll get the bracelet, that's enough. I'll get that special necklace, you know, counting. You know that story? No? Yeah. Okay, anyway, shortly, I'm just finishing that. They said, okay, they were following the Sankirtan party, but Nityananda Prabhu, of course, understood, so he went into the house of, whose house he went? He usually hides there. Nobody knows where he is, Hiranyapan. And then he went there, and he was just sitting in the house. And then they surrounded the house, and then they said, okay, tonight will be the big thing. And then they prepared to rob it, but just when they were talking, okay, we wait a little bit more, and then when everybody falls asleep, they send a spy. The spy was looking, they were just enjoying nice food, and then soon they will fall asleep, and they are laughing and singing, but soon they will be tired and they will fall asleep. So the spy came back, and then they were excited. Yes, we just wait a few more minutes, but suddenly they all fall asleep. So they woke up, oh, the night has passed, we missed it, and then they went to bath, and then one was saying, how can you fall asleep? And the other, yeah, so you stay awake, huh? So they were arguing with each other, and the boss said, don't worry, tomorrow will be the thing. So they went tomorrow, but to their surprise, what did they see? They went, because there were big walls around the house, they looked, and there were sentries, soldiers, but just not ordinary soldiers, they were huge and really big, with so much, one of them was enough to take the whole. And then they were dressed super wonderfully, and then they were chanting the names of Hari while marching and walking around. So the robbers were like, who are these? You know? And they were, these are not ordinary persons. And somebody said, I knew it. He's not an ordinary person also. Therefore, they say he's a prophet, and he has this special. And then others were saying, how can be a prophet and dress like that, and drink and eat so much like that? And the Brahmana leader said, oh, wait a second. There must be some reason. He's a friend with many influential persons. Somebody brought his guards. So let's wait for a few days more, and then they will go. And then they also said, well, let's also pray to our goddess, Chandi, and make some nice sacrifice. So they worship her. But to their surprise, unpleasant surprise, when they wait after a few days, suddenly there is a full darkness, and there's a big storm, and then they become blind. They couldn't see anything. They fell in the ditch in the house, and then some of them broke their legs, and then some of them fell in the, whatever it's called, the compost pit. And then there were worms, and it was just, and suddenly Indra, with great pleasure, started sending a hail and big, ice, so they were hit, and then some of them fell in the big thorn bushes, so they were really screaming and didn't see anything. And suddenly this leader was hit by the realization, oh, Nityananda is Supreme Lord. So he started praying, please forgive, please forgive. I didn't realize that it was so clear. Anyway, so when he started praying, the storm went out, and then they started seeing, and then they went back, they took a bath, and after that in the morning he just went straight in the house. And everyone, because they knew he was a famous robber, and then everyone was like, okay, what's happening now? And somewhat doubtful, but because maybe he will attack Lord Nityananda. But then he just offered full obeisances and offered nice prayers. And he said, my life is successful. I realize who you are. I surrender myself, and now I finish my life, because this is just so sinful body. There are no sin which I didn't commit. I'm going to drown in the Ganges. And Nityananda told him, no, don't worry. I have a mission for you. There's so many rogues and thieves, so you go and preach to them and make them devotees. So he went on. So Nityananda Balaram, so merciful, he came to even attract and transform the most wretched. So we are small sinners and small, unqualified persons compared to these, but we can attain that special mercy of Lord Nityananda and Balaram by just accepting the mercy of Prabhupada and the way he led us to practice devotional service. So thank you very much. Are there any comments, reflections? Before we conclude, because like Chakragampu, you told me that by 10 we can finish, or even more? Okay. Okay, but we have at the end a special reading from Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is... You have to go? Or you have to go, so you have to go now. You want to read now? 5 minutes? Okay, so anyway, we read now, and then at the end there will be some discussion. So this is the first chapter of Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is about 180 verses. It's an opening chapter, and it... half of it is glorification of Balarama. Can you imagine? Half of the first chapter of Chaitanya Bhagavat. So I selected some verses, and we'll have a dramatic reading now.
Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adilila chapter 1. In the beginning I offer unlimited obeisances to the feet of the loving confidential devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya. I have therefore offered my prayers first to the devotees, as this is the secret for attaining perfection. I offer my respectful obeisance unto Sri Nityananda Rai, for he is my worshipable Lord. By his mercy, the glories of Lord Chaitanya become manifest. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the thousand-headed Lord Balaram. His thousands of mouths are the abode of Lord Krishna's transcendental glories. Lord Ananta's mouths are the storehouse of the gem-like glories of Lord Krishna, for valuable jewels are kept in a most appropriate place. Therefore in the beginning I offer my prayers to Lord Balaram, so that the glories of Lord Chaitanya will manifest from my mouth. Lord Balaram has thousands of hoods, and all his activities are extraordinary. The Supreme Lord Balaram carries a plough and possesses a gigantic body. Although he is exceptionally grave, he is intoxicated by the glories of Lord Chaitanya. There is no one more dear to Lord Chaitanya than Nityananda. Therefore Lord Chaitanya always enjoys pastimes within him. Sri Krishna Chaitanya is most satisfied with one who chants or hears the characteristics of Lord Nityananda. Lord Shiva and Parvati also become pleased with such a person, and the transcendental goddess of learning, Sarasvati, manifests on his tongue. Along with Parvati and innumerable maidservants, Lord Shiva engages in the worship of Sankarshan. The topics in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam concerning Lord Balaram, the original Sankarsan, are glorified by all Vaishnavas. The two brothers, Krishna and Balaram, both performed Rasa Krida pastimes in the company of the gopis at the same place in Vrindavan. Once, Lord Govinda and Lord Ram, the performers of wonderful feats, were playing Holi in the forest at night with the young girls of Braj. Krishna and Balaram wore flower garlands and spotless garments, and their limbs were beautifully decorated and anointed. The women sang their glories in a charming way, bound to them by affection. The two lords praised the nightfall, signalled by the rising of the moon and the appearance of stars, a lotus-scented breeze and bees intoxicated by the fragrance of jasmine flowers. Krishna and Balaram sang, producing the entire range of musical sounds simultaneously. Their singing brought happiness to the ears and minds of all living beings. One who has no love for Lord Balaram, after hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, is rejected by both the Lord and his devotees. Lord Balaram appears in various forms as the servant of the Lord. He manifests these symptoms in various incarnations. Lord Balaram serves Krishna in 10 different ways: as his friend, brother, fan, bed, carrier, residence, umbrella, garments, ornaments, and sitting place. In all these forms he serves himself. Whoever receives his mercy can understand this truth. Lord Ananta is the first incarnation of the Lord and the master of all mystic power. At the same time, he is a servant of God, a Vaishnav. Since there is no end to his glories, no one can understand him fully. Even if he is distressed or degraded, any person who chants the holy name of the Lord, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, is immediately purified. Even if he chants the holy name jokingly or by chance, he and anyone who hears him are freed from all sins. Therefore, how can anyone seeking disentanglement from the material clutches avoid chanting the name of Lord Balaram? Of whom else should one take shelter? The Lord is glorified as one without a second, as the supreme truth who has no beginning. Therefore he is called Anantadev, unlimited. Who can understand his ways? His form is completely spiritual, and he manifests it only by his mercy. All the activities in this material world are conducted within his form. He is very powerful and always pleased and always prepared to please his personal associates and devotees with waves of pastimes. If we simply try to engage in the congregational chanting of the glories of Lord Anantadev, the dirty things in our hearts accumulated during many births will immediately be washed away. Therefore, a Vaishnav never misses the opportunity to glorify Anantadev. Lord Anantadev is known as Shesha, the unlimited end, because he alone ends our passage through this material world. By chanting his glories, everyone can be liberated. My only desire at the feet of the Vaishnavas is that birth after birth I may worship the feet of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram ki jai.
Thank you very much, Guru. It was wonderful. So, any comments, questions? Yes?
Perhaps you can, let's say, as long as we are not yet attracted to constantly hear about the glories of the Lord or chant, there will be always some moments, like in the beginning of the movement, Srila Prabhupada said we should not read any newspapers. But of course, everybody was having full engagement in the temple, but nowadays everybody has their mobile, you know, so the distractions are just in the pocket. And so how do you have any advice that, let's say, if you feel this tendency to think, okay, so now let's check the news, you know, what's happening in the world, and I mean, how do you go about that? How do you give in to that, or do you have some tricks to trick your mind and say, okay, instead of this, I'm going to do, like, you know, you say, okay, I caught you, not this direction but the other. I mean, how do you?
Vaisheshika Prabhu is many times saying it's a strategy that we don't say no, we just say not just now. It's okay, but I'll do something else now. So the mind, let's check the news, or let's do this or that. But yes, so he's calling that a delayed. What was it? There was a specific term. Yeah. So you kind of a delayed denial. Basically, you say, yeah, even he's using some judicial terms in that delayed justice is not just so. So the point is if you just postpone and delay this one, and the mind, if you just direct the mind in the small choices, then let's not open now this, but I'll first do the other thing, and then you become more fascinated by Krishna's Lila. And then specifically for the news, he says, well, I anyway will hear the important things somehow or other. But we know that Srila Prabhupada sometimes looked, or Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, they were aware of what's happening in the world in order to be also, how to say, relevant in the preaching, etc. But it's a thin line if we're not careful. So, as I say, different devotees have different strategies. Some, as I quoted him, he just says, well, I will look later. And that's one way. The other is other devotees I know that they make a vow. I will not open this, it's just I turn it off or whatever, turn into a flying mode until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, until I finish my reading and chanting. Something like that, some vow, because it can become such a habit even for devotees. They wake up and checking the statutes or whatever, opening the first thing, and then it is made to catch the attention. It's a powerful tool. They invest billions to make it in such a way that they keep the attention, our attention there, so the ads will come, etc., etc. So as you say, the distraction is just next to us all the time, and we have to be just more careful. And Raghunath Das Goswami says, Asat Varta, in Mana Shiksha. Varta means, worldly news and talk. So he says that plunders the whole intelligence. So there is, of course, a room for being aware, but I, for example, try to. Sometimes, you go. I remember also one Maharaj in the manor was giving class during the COVID or just after COVID, and he said, I caught my mind, spending so much time finding out what's happening and what's the controversy and what's the conspiracy and who is it real, is it not, and reading and finally I caught myself spending hours and hours in the whole thing. And probably you remember that, and many devotees started arguing between, is it this, some pro, some, pro the vaccine, anti-vax, and then they're fighting, sometimes so fighting verbally that they don't talk anymore to each other. So what this has to do with? So it can happen, and therefore we have to be careful. And then, like, if I look at the news, I either try to delay it when I have done a reading like that, and I just try to do it in 2 minutes. Okay, just scan the titles, and then that's it. 2-3 minutes. 5 is the maximum. But sometimes let's see, what is it? Something important, and then you read, and then from there. Oh. The other thing is I have always opened Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and it's just always open in the browser. So, so always the choice is there. It's not somewhere the book. I just have the phone. But when the phone is there, and then it's really powerful. You sit down and you're somewhere, or time to space out, or time to kill a time. Then you open it. Okay, and then here's a verse coming, and then So it could be very powerful that you have Bhagavatam, Gita, and something always open, and it's there, and you can have even you can train the algorithm of Facebook or whatever you use to show you things you want, but you have to be regular. Otherwise, you stop for some time and then you open it and suddenly some strange things. So I don't want to see. I just want to see the deities in Vrindavan and Mayapur. But if you're consistent, it's always showing. At least that's my experience. So I open, and first thing is Mayapur. For some reason, Mayapur deities, darshan. Okay, I'm happy, and then other deities I see, and then I close, because then the ads start coming in. And the ads are tailored very, very exactly, that you look somewhere in the search, somewhere in the computer, or even you talk sometimes with somebody about something, and then you appear, I need a backpack, and then you have a backpack all the time. Ads coming in. Where is it? So, yes, we just have to be careful, that's it. But I remember another quote attributed to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, that if Maya cannot catch you in the gross way, like in breaking the principles, if she can't catch you in making mistakes and aparadas, so there's not much left. You're following everything strictly, you're humble, you're not offending devotees and the deities and the Dham, so then she'll catch you with distraction. So that's the subtle way of getting you away. And again, testing you. It's not that she's working against, she's working as Krishna wants. That's her service, to test us and to purify us, and so we have to be aware. It will come. It's just the energy is set up in a way while we are here in the material world. That's why Prabhupada also says we have to be afraid of Maya. This is our mistake. We're just too, like the days ago, it's okay, I'm advanced or whatever. But Prabhupada, once he was praying and the devotees, Prabhupada, what did you pray for? He says, I'm praying that Krishna is protecting me from illusion. So we have to be afraid. And actually in this context, I read I forgot it, but it was one of the purports in this verse, today's verse, of the Acharyas, that this fear, like Kamsa is always fearful, he's the fear personified. So, because the verse says that before that, Devaki will be very happy when she understands that she's pregnant with the 7th child, but also very unhappy. So 2 things. And happy because of the fear that Kamsa will kill. So that fear, one of the acharyas compares that fear with, it's a very healthy fear for a devotee. It also purifies and prepares the heart for Krishna to appear. Any other additions? Yes, Anil.
It was just that I noticed with news that they have different news medias. You can also pick where you're looking at your news, because I was reading something about the more you read about miracles and positive things, the more you think they're possible. And I remember at some point they're saying, people are becoming very selfish and individualized. And then I found this network, and I forgot the name now, but they were showing all of these miracles where people were gathering together to help each other out, that the government kind of couldn't go help. There was a volcano explosion and people weren't helping. But then all of the tourist helicopters and boats went to go save the people. And those things might be news outside, it's not Krishna conscious, but it uplifts the soul, makes you believe that people can still grow. So I think also just choosing to look at positive news versus the negative news doesn't always...
There are networks or sites also specifically dedicated because the others are feeding on negative news because that creates the material fear. It's like, or at least the feeling of I'm a little bit better than others who are really suffering and so many killed by this, by that, so many wars. But others are people who present just something positive, and then at least the mind is not filled with that negative energy. So definitely we sometimes have these needs and we need some kind of connection and hearing something of what's happening, so therefore better use something instead of some negative and or especially controversial and conspiracy and blame and this and that. And it's just so entangling in going and then you're lost. And then what's the point of it? But you think you discovered exactly how it works. No, we know how it works. You already have the Shastra.
There was something also about this COVID discussion and what I came across. It was so beautiful, and I thought it's a pity that as devotees we didn't pick up that one. Is that it's all about vegetarianism? That COVID, that the only solution, vaccine, no one care. But if we could show people that being vegetarian would solve all of it, I thought it was such a beautiful way to actually preach. That.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Just your point that we need spiritual master to come closer to Krishna. We need bala, we need strength, and so what my personal experience when I received initiation by my spiritual master in Mayapur, then the moment that he gave my name, he said, "Your name is Ekachakragram Das Brahmachari." And immediately I felt so proud. I was thinking, now it's not anymore Bhakta Et, now I'm Ekachakragram Das Brahmachari. And I was like, I was swelling in pride, I just felt it. And then a few days later I went to his room and I actually asked, what is this name meaning? And it was like he pierced the balloon, it shrunk to like very deep samskara in me. He said, Lord Chaitanya is Patita Pavana, he's the savior of the fallen. He said, but Lord Chaitanya appeared very near the Ganges, and those who lived near the Ganges, they were all quite pious souls. But he saved them, although they were a bit fallen, but they were also very pious, he said. But in Ekachakragram was in the area of Radhadesh. And it was an area where the Ganges doesn't flow, so those areas where no holy river flows, the most sinful persons, they live there. And Lord Nityananda, he chose this Ekachakragram because it was a very sinful place. So he said, those who are very, very low and sinful, Lord Nityananda appears there, and therefore your name is Ekachakragram. So since today, whenever I detect and it's daily, detect pride or something that I'm in control or whatever, I always remember, Lord Nityananda is more merciful than Lord Chaitanya, and that's why I'm linked to that place where he appeared. So Guru gives you strength, but also gives you humility and insights. And so for me, it's such a wonderful thing that now I have a role in Radhadesh, with my name linked to Lord Nityananda. So he always tries to keep me, the natural pride that is there in me, it's always cut by these words that he spoke. So.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. A tip that we got from our teacher in Bhaktivedanta Manor in relation to Mataji's question. The teacher is now Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj, and he trained us up because he said we have to know the news if we go out distribute books in Oxford, Cambridge, like that. So he gave us a website with just the headlines and no visuals like that. So I don't know if that actually exists here, but there are sites like that. And he said we have to be able to relate and interact just to know the headlines, but not beyond that. So I don't know if there's websites like that here, but perhaps that might be an idea. Yeah.
Thank you, Bro.
Thanks.
Anything else? Yes?
Thank you for the lecture. I did not quite understand why exactly the name Sankarshan is given to Balaram, because, like you said, one aspect is because Anantadev and many hoods, and but then the other aspect, why? Because he was transferred from the womb of Devaki from
yes. From Devaki to Rohini.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I did not understand why the name Sankarshan for that. Could you please elaborate?
Because it means to draw out. So he was taken out of the womb and transferred and put.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Shri Baladev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.